and welcome to a brand new edition of Breakfast Central. This week, it's quite the intense week it is because the past 48 hours have been a lot happening around the world, and we're going to be bringing you the updates of that, and especially how the US, Israel, Iran war not only impacts Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, and all the other countries that have been affected, but how it affects us here at home in Nigeria. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. I am Olive Emodi. What's happened?
I purposely waited for Gbenga. But Gbenga was also waiting for me.
Yes. So
good plan.
There was a glitch.
Yes, there was a glitch.
Hopefully in 2027 there won't be.
No, there was a glitch in transmission.
Yes.
That's what
Hopefully
we
we can see real-time transmission.
Real time.
No glitch.
Yes.
Sorry.
But
Anyway.
will it be mandatory?
No, that we cannot guarantee.
Professor Mokwiton says that 2027 will be different from 2023. You know, at the town hall where he spoke.
I watched the News Central was there live.
Yes, he was of the opinion that what we saw that caused the glitch was because it wasn't tested in different states at the same time. So it's going to be complete as it.
And he made a vow that, but he put a caveat. He said, by the grace of God. That's what Muslims call inshallah. And it's an off-ramp way of saying,
I cannot guarantee you.
I cannot guarantee. Exactly. In case.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome. Good morning. And I am Joe Hansen. This is Breakfast Central. Don't worry. Yes, we're starting off on this note, especially looking at where we are today. Quite different from what you're used to, but never worry. News Central continues to rebrand, reform, to ensure that we give you the latest just at the right time and exactly where you need it. So today, we'll be looking at so many stories. We have a lot to talk about when we go into details concerning Nigeria. There's the issue on Dave Umahi. There's also the story concerning Nigeria and the opposition party. The ADC was talking tough this past weekend. Peter Obi, a presidential aspirant for 2023 election who contested under the Labour Party umbrella, also spoke and said that Nigeria is not where it is. But we'll have all of these conversations to bring to you today, and we'll start off with a wake-up conversation, but not until I allow the man do the honors to introduce himself this time. No glitches. Benga, good morning.
Yeah, I'm Benga Borowa. It's a pleasure to welcome you to a brand new week and a brand new month. So many things, like my co-anchor said, happening across the world. I mean, what are the implications for Nigeria? The world woke up to a different world as we know it on Saturday morning following unprovoked attacks by the United States and Israel on Iran. And the Iranians have closed the Straits of Hormuz. You know what that means. A lot of shipment of crude oil passes through the Straits of Hormuz. The markets, the financial markets are going to open this morning. We will be looking out for what they will be saying. And the price of crude oil is set to go up. And you know what that means as we have removed the subsidy in Nigeria. We'll look at this and many more, and also insecurity in Nigeria. Sad news of attacks again against troops of the Nigerian army in Borno State. Sadly, some of the officers lost their lives during that gun battle. But we'll look at all of this and more during the course of today's Breakfast Central. You're welcome once again.
All right. Now, before we kick into the stories to kickstart wake-up conversations, I must mention that we're streaming live on YouTube. News Central TV Live is the handle to search for on YouTube, and we will take your comments all through. I think the first comment we have this morning is good morning, and this good morning is from Yakubu. Yakubu, manage. Let's keep your comments coming. We'll keep going through them as we proceed with the show this morning. But let's now start with Abia State. Alex Otti, the governor of Abia State, was at the center of a tense exchange during his February media chat in Umuahia on Friday after sharply rebuking a journalist who asked him to provide verifiable data on the socio-economic impact of his administration. The question raised by Chika Nwabweze of Bond Media Group sought concrete and measurable evidence beyond feasible projects like road rehabilitation to show how policies introduced since May 2023 have improved living standards. In a firm response delivered live on air, the governor dismissed the request as irresponsible and poorly prepared, insisting that residents should already be experiencing tangible progress through upgraded roads, revitalized primary healthcare centers, improved public transport, and aspects of free education. Otti stressed that the multimedia chat is a serious governance platform, not an avenue for what he described as frivolous questioning, maintaining that billions of naira invested across critical sectors are already translating into results that citizens can see and feel. Let's look.
Your Excellency, I want to ask, can you provide verifiable data showing how your policies have directly improved the economic and living conditions of ordinary Abians beyond infrastructural development, Your Excellency? Thank you.
Okay, so if you live in Umuahia, you are the one that will provide data. So the point is that this media chat is a serious media chat. So we are not here to massage your position. You can't come to a media chat and you are asking me to provide data about the measurable impact on work that is being done in the state where you live. It's irresponsible. Okay, that we throw this open for people to ask questions doesn't mean that people should be stupid. That's not my business. What my business is to deliver on my promises. So it is for you as a journalist, if you actually want, okay, to now say, because roads have been done, accidents have reduced, travel time has reduced, there are electric buses all over the place that has the environment, that is free of charge. There are 200 primary health care centers that were not here before. So when somebody takes ill, he can go to a health care delivery center in his ward. Because you have fixed the state, businesses have returned. I don't know how much you pay as rent. I don't know how much you were paying before now. So if you want the governor to sit and then tell you the economic impact, then something is wrong. You understand from where I'm coming? Okay. Okay, so next time when you are coming to ask questions, prepare very well.
And there is the response of Governor Alex Otti to the journalist, a response that many have criticized and called disrespectful. He's been asked to apologize. But I'm going to open the floor here and ask my colleagues who are also journalists to respond. Let's imagine that either of you were the ones asking the question and you had that response to you. What would be your response?
I mean, that's a tough one. I don't think I'll be in that position. But I would just like to address Governor Alex Otti. It was wrong to have spoken to the journalist in using those words. I mean, if they ask you a question, even if it's as basic as possible, and it's happened to Joe here, on the set when we had the special advisor, one of the essays to Mr. President, even if the question, when journalists ask questions, it's a revolutionary act. They're not acting because, they're not asking because they don't know the answers. They are asking because they're giving you an opportunity to speak and send your message to the people. You might have done all these things, and it's also an opportunity for you to, I mean, Alex Otti should have used it as an opportunity to highlight some of his achievements, what is done for Abians, rather than denigrate that family man. It was sad just watching him get dressed down. Like
I agree with you. There was a line.
A journalist is doing his job. He was just basically doing his job.
There was a line in the response where he said, and it is your responsibility, you as a journalist, that is if you are one. And I felt that was
so far so good. I think
below the belt.
The committee of journalists, in quotes, whether it's in NUJ or so, they've called on him to apologize. They've asked the Abia State governor to quickly tender an apology. Kind of like a reminiscent of what happened in August 2020, when a former minister known as Femi Fani-Kayode spoke to a Daily Trust reporter, Eyo, Charles and told him, you are very stupid.
He asked him
That
who
gave you the
bankrolled.
right, who bankrolled, what kind of bankroll, what, who gave you the right to ask me that question? You're stupid, get out of here and all that. And you know the sad thing about that other video, unfortunately we don't have that video on cue, but you'll find out that you had other journalists who sat down there and they were telling him, please, sit down, don't angry.
And we've seen this happen.
And so on. My point, Benga, really is this. I think journalists need to understand that, rather, those in power need to understand that journalists do have the right to ask questions.
Yeah.
It behoves on you now to decide how you choose to answer the question. Hence why we always advise, be it governors, politicians, wherever, even CEOs do have what they call media training. It's media training, and I think Governor Alex Otti, in as much as you've received all the praises, I think you might need to also get a media training on this. And the media training should also buttress on accountability, which is the #1 question majority of Nigerians are asking everybody in power. You need to be accountable. Remember the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, they had asked him, they said, Minister, how much did you spend on this Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road? And it became a question of debate. You know, a fellow journalist in another news channel had asked, can you prove to us? And he said, why are you asking that kind of question?
Right. So to add to that, and I agree with what the both of you have said, I think subconsciously there's a defense mechanism, there's a defense state of mind that public office holders have. It's almost like they're coming there with a mindset of, I'm ready to fight, because it feels like there's some form of combat. But journalists are not your enemies. Journalists are there as the fourth estate of the realm. They are there to hold you accountable, to be the voice that speaks the heart of the people and ask the questions that the people want to ask. And governors, public servant holders, you are there to serve at the request of the people. So when the people ask a question, you answer, no matter how basic it is. And I know that sometimes, we're humans. I'm not trying to make excuses for Governor Otti. We're humans, and sometimes it might be just, it was a bad day. But that could have been handled better, much, much better than it was handled. Governor Otti has gotten a lot of praise and commendation, even from journalists, because you can see the work that he's doing, right? And just like Benga said, it would have been an opportunity for him to then blow his trumpet and say, these and these and these are what I have done. And the people of Abia State can testify. Let's take comments and see what Nigerians are saying before we head to X. I'll take some from YouTube. I was going to ask you if you think the defensive posture of public office holders when you ask them questions is kind of cultural there. How dare you question me? So, of course. So there are many elements. There's a cultural element that expects that those who are at the top are not answerable to those who put them there or those beneath them. So there's just a sort of expectation that you reel out what you want to reel out to them and there's no response back. Beyond the culture inhibitions or cultural limitations, it's also how we've run government, where people are subservient. It's almost like there's an adoration, an adulation of some sort, and a reverence of public service holders, which should not be the case. Public service holders should know that they are there to serve us. It should be the other way around. They're there to revere the people, to exalt the people, to extol the people, to do what the people put them to do. It's not the other way around. So there's a bit of an eye service culture that we have here that manifests in the way that we do governance and in the way that we hold our public service holders to account. But now let's head to X and see what Nigerians are saying. But before then, I'll take a few comments from YouTube. Mr. Johnson, thank you. Says, good morning. The studio looks a little more nice today. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very observant.
Very observant. Chukau Chama says, Otti admires so highly, but on this, he terribly goofed big time. Journalists globally asks public servants a manner of questions and hell doesn't get loose. And then Mr. Johnson says, though the journalist sounds like antagonist because asking for data that you have access to is not responsible from the journalist. But Governor Alex shouldn't have used all those strong words in answering the journalist's question. Benga, do you think that asking for data?
I mean, asking for data, it was almost like an exam. Maybe that's why he shouldn't have used, provide data, because it's not doing presentation. He could have just said, he could have framed the question differently. But regardless of how that question was asked, he shouldn't have responded to the journalist in that manner. And we've seen this play out also in Washington, especially during the Trump presidency, where people ask questions, journalists ask questions he doesn't like, and it's like, you, CNN, fake news, next person. And when that happens, and I'm talking to my colleagues here and Nigerian journalists, I think we need to stand in solidarity and, you know, just refuse to ask any more questions until that person apologizes.
I like that part, and I think I told the same line with you, Minga. Whenever any journalist is insulted, especially if the journalist was asking that he didn't act outside of his, you know, purview in terms of asking questions, I think journalists should now have a code where anybody in power goes ahead to attack a journalist, and all journalists should get up and leave.
Kind of like what happened to the Miss
and then let's see the report that will come out. But let's see what Nigerians are saying.
Universe pageants, where they all felt like one of them was disrespected and stood up to walk out. Everybody walked out with her.
Exactly.
No.
Anyway, let's see what Nigerians are saying very quickly, so we can also move to the next story. What Nigerians are saying, we do have a tweet. This one says, the journalist asked for impact instead of OT to accurately answer with humility as a public servant. He chose the attack tactics, which says a lot about him and his administration. Abians wants accountability. That's what that one says. Let's see another tweet very quickly. This one says...
Democracy thrives on scrutiny, not silence. Leaders must welcome honest questions. Insults do not replace facts or performance data. Calm, clear responses inspire confidence. That's the standard citizens deserve, Malik says. Let's take another tweet. I'm not surprised seeing obedience and fence-sitters defending Alex Otti and insisting that he did nothing wrong by going after that journalist. And honestly, I agree with them. Nothing they do shocks me anymore. These are the same people who defended the girl that paraded the fake JAMB result. Compared to that level of excuse-making, defending a governor's responsibility is a small matter. All of us will wise up soon, Akinwale says. All right, let's take some other tweets. Cecily Madibayo says, sharper political critique. If a governor cannot answer basic questions about his performance without calling a journalist stupid, that signals a serious leadership flaw. Public funds pay for governance, and the burden of proof lies with the office holder, not with citizens demanding results. When scrutiny is met with insults rather than evidence, it exposes insecurity, not strength. Democracy thrives on questioning. A leader who treats oversight as rebellion risks projecting authoritarian tendencies instead of confidence in measurable achievements. And that's all the tweets that we have regarding this. Keep the comments coming on YouTube. We'll take more comments as we proceed with the show today. Before we go to the next conversation, thank you very much, Mokoye Chukwuemeka. Good morning. He says the studio looks a lot different and eye-catching.
It's lit.
It's lit.
Clock it.
Now let's go to our next story. Nigeria's counter-terrorism approach is once again under intense public scrutiny as the Defense Headquarters defends its rehabilitation program for surrendered insurgents. Major General Michael Onoja has emphasized that Operation Safe Corridor focused on de-radicalization and reintegration, noting that former fighters remain Nigerian citizens. His position echoes recent remarks by the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, who said, whether we like it or not, there are terrorists in Nigeria who want peace. They are our brothers, and we must seek dialogue and understanding with them. Those comments have sparked nationwide debate, especially as the country continues to face deadly attacks. Early Sunday at about 4 a.m., ISWAP fighters launched a coordinated assault on the Kajeri military camp near Banki Junction in Borno State, killing Nigerian Army Major U.I. Mariga and several other soldiers. The situation is further compounded by reports of the abduction of National Youth Service Corps members, raising renewed concerns about security and whether rehabilitation efforts can coexist with persistent insurgents violence in the region. All right, let's take a look at this video, then we'll come back to share our reaction.
From the 1st of January to the 29th, with successes recorded by neutralizing scores of terrorists. Also, 74 of the terrorists were arrested, while 40 kidnapped victims were rescued. 52.
The reconciliation of a bandit is between the bandit and his God. The reconciliation of a terrorist is between the terrorist and his God. Your job as government is to arrange that meeting. And the earlier you arrange that meeting, the better for all of us. So this government does not have a clear-cut policy on what they want to do. Let me tell you, a serious government will end insecurity in 1 year. It's not hard. Are the bandits more trained than our soldiers? Are the bandits more kitted than our soldiers? Do they have more emeralds than our soldiers? Have you ever seen a bandit with a tank? Do you know how many T-72s that Nigeria has? Do you know how many T-54s that Nigeria has? Do you know that Nigeria can still buy more because we are a sovereign nation? Do they have bombs? Do they have airdrop bombs? They don't. But when we have a civilian leadership that is inept, I didn't want to go this far, a civilian leadership that has no balls, that's exactly what you get. It's like your children, they misbehave for us, they blame your neighbor. It is your job. Fix it.
Okay, I'll open the floor very quickly. Let's take what Nigerians are saying. But if you can, gentlemen, in 30 seconds each, because I want us to take the final story. Your reactions.
I mean, if you look at Riley Moore's report that is sent to Donald Trump on the Christian persecution and genocide, alleged genocide in Nigeria, there was a part where they recommended, rehabilitation and all of that, and it always raises eyebrows. And there was a video of the National Security Advisor who was speaking in Hausa. He said, these are our brothers. And I would like to vehemently disagree with all those people. They are non-kinetic means, but once you take up arms against the state, once you start killing your fellow human beings, you've lost the right to be our brothers. You're not a brother anymore, You're a killer. And if we go by that logic of, we have to rehabilitate you, reintegrate them into society, you might as well start from Kuje prison, Ikoyi prison, open all the doors of the prisons in Nigeria and let
rehabilitate and de-radicalize
let them
people.
free
I agree with
since
you.
They are brothers.
That's the major criticism we've had about the radicalization of terrorists. And if that really is justice, because these people are reintegrated to the society and the people whom they have caused havoc to, whom they have killed, their family members, see them brought back, and then it feels that actions have no consequences and there are really no repercussions for wrongdoing. But let's head to X. I'll come on YouTube after to take comments on YouTube. Let's see what Nigerians are saying on X. This line of thinking is deeply troubling. You can't place victims and You can't place victims and perpetrators on the same moral scale and expect society to heal. Accountability must come before any talk of reintegration. Otherwise, justice is mocked and the pain of those who suffered is dismissed. Rehabilitation without truth, consequences, and justice sends a dangerous message that violence has no real cost. A nation that rushes to show mercy to those who destroyed lives while survivors are abandoned is setting itself up for repeat horrors. Rehabilitation without justice is not mercy, it is betrayal. Betrayal of the dead, betrayal of the displaced and the traumatized. Until victims are prioritized, perpetrators held fully accountable, and the truth confronted, talking about reintegration is not healing, it is moral collapse. And I want to give this person a round of applause. I think this is my best tweet. I haven't seen the others, but this is my best tweet. Mr. Kashami says, in America, they recognize that terrorists are a threat to peace anywhere. So they have to go out of their country to make sure that there are no terrorists anywhere in the world that will one day be strong enough to attack them. The Operation Epic Fury was ordered by Donald Trump. Nightmare of terrorists and killer of killers. In Nigeria, on the other hand, we have terrorists killing our people on our land every day. But our military and our NSA are telling us, the victims, that those terrorists are our brothers, and they deserve to be forgiven and rehabilitated after killing our families and destroying our lives. There is one account on Twitter that always says black skin is cheese, and I'm beginning to believe him. Then there is David Hundeyin, who wants us to believe that the same America and CIA that is killing terrorists in Iran are the ones that made our military and NSA to call terrorists in Nigeria our brothers. A copper was killed and, can we go back there? A copper was killed and, okay, we're still scrolling up.
Let's scroll down a bit.
Can we scroll quickly? Okay.
That copper
a copper was kidnapped and flooded like an animal by these terrorists. Right, all right, next slide. By these terrorists.
Till now.
No government officials have made any statement. The APC people who told us that Nigeria is safer than 10 years ago are talking about Peter Obi. I am not feeling myself in this country again. That is what this tweet says.
I mean, I agree with the tweet up till the party started praising the United States. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist by the United States a few years ago. So they're not in the position to, I mean, you might think they're the terrorists, but think deeper and read extensively.
I agree with you, Benga. It's quite tough a situation that Nigeria finds itself now. But I'm sure in the course of our show during the week, we'll also find out what we need to discuss, especially on insecurity. But let's move on to our next story very quickly because we're out of time. Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, is in the news again. On Saturday, he dismissed allegations by a businesswoman, Center Nicholas Ohiri, that he demanded sex in exchange for a supposed debt, calling the claims politically motivated and baseless. Now, speaking in Enugu after inspecting federal projects in Enugu and Anambra states, Umahi stressed, don't insult your leaders because what a man soweth is what he reaps. People know me very well. I owe nobody. I was a party chairman, deputy governor, and governor for 8 years, and nobody said I harassed anyone. He also referenced recent social media comparisons with Natasha, saying if it was Natasha now, I would have been bolder, emphasizing that the allegations are unfounded and designed for attention. Let's take a look at the video, all right? Just take a look at this video, and then we'll come back to look at the conversation clearly.
Party chairman, I owed nobody. Of course, I presided over both men and women, and nobody ever said, I harassed him or I owed him. Deputy governor is governor for 8 years, and I did fantastic infrastructure. So nobody could come and say, oh, it's been good, unless the person is being rejected. So, what you read on social media, I'm not worried about it. It makes me stronger, and I've fought many battles. So this is nothing. There's nothing wrong to say, oh, you are chasing a woman. But if it is Natasha that is accusing me of chasing her, then my face will be bolder. But not anyhow person that will accuse this handsome man of chasing him for 12 years. That person must be the Queen of England. Because even one man that cannot chase Senator Natasha for 12 years. So it's just to make social media to their life. But I think we can turn our attention to the war in Iran now, and then allow Dave Umahi to rest.
And that's Senator Dave Umahi speaking there. The question is, why bring in Senator Natasha into this conversation? That one man has been chasing Senator Natasha for 12 years and they know you. But then again, wait. Let's just watch this next video. There were rumors that the lady who accused the senator was just talking. Does she have receipts? Well, the receipts are out. Let's show you what the receipts look like in this next video.
All right.
And he invited me to his state to come and exhibit my craft. I'm into the business of corporate gifts. So I came to his state on his invitation 3 times. So one morning, he woke me up around 5 a.m. Then
So what you have there on the screen, you can pause this. You can pause this quickly. Said, good evening, sir. It's been 8 years. I supplied you promotional gift items during your campaign. Kindly have mercy and pay me before you leave office.
Yes.
This is the accuser,
2023.
as it were.
But if you go back, there was another one earlier.
Yes, yes. My name is Jacinta. Your boss, David Umahi, has been owing me for 9 years. Good evening, Silas. I want to believe you read my messages. This is her soliciting and asking, begging for her money, and so on. And we saw the items. These items were used for his promotional items for his campaign. Okay? We're playing it back for you so you can get to see. That's her. That's her there. That's her. This is proof.
Dave Umahi.
Yes.
Pause there. Pause. Can you see Dave Umahi's picture with his wife, lovely wife there on the table, on the left side on the table? And that's the lady, Jacinta there, showing Tracinta, I beg your pardon.
And these are the souvenirs that she made for...
Back then it was in PDP.
It was in PDP then. Then APC was rubbish, according to
I liked that
what they said.
looking one. There was a
is this a pen
says,
or what?
Looks like a pen.
Is that a child?
One day you will pay. You will pay for insulting me. I think we're going to get there.
Hey, pause here,
This is the invoice. 2,542,500 naira. Oh, 25 million. Wow. 542,060. Okay, I can't see that clearly.
25 million.
But basically, this breaks down the monies spent.
Look at the campaign material.
Can we see that exercise book again?
That 40
the PDP exercise book.
Keep going. There's also one text. One day you will pay for insulting me. This was Dave
Umahi reply in 2016.
So this has been many years before, and yet there has been no response. So we're expecting a reply from Dave Umahi. But now let's go back to talk about Engineer Dave Umahi. And I want to speak, first of all, about his response to this woman. In that video where he responded to her, saying that all these claims were false, I want to particularly make reference to the disheartening statement that he made, where he said that she's claiming that he was hitting on her. And if it was Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, he would understand.
Very unfortunate. I
think that's a despicable statement. That's not something that should come out from the mouth of a leader. The best of us are supposedly the ones to be leading us, but it doesn't quite seem like it. That he not only insulted Tresnitha, he also insulted Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, making light of the struggles and the issues. She currently has a court case, a series of court cases that she has to attend to. She complained and made several allegations of sexual harassment. What he doesn't realize is that in saying what he's saying, in some way, he's given relevance to what she has said, even though they would come out and say that didn't happen. But he's strengthening the argument that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has put forward.
And if it was meant to be a joke, it wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny.
It was below the belt.
Yeah.
That was a very disrespectful joke.
This is somebody's wife.
Come on.
And you're someone's husband. There are limits to what you should even say. And then, like Olive rightly said, you look at your position as an honorable minister and you're making this sort of sexist statements. It's really unfortunate.
Sorry to butt in. That is where we have a problem with that word honorable. And I think as journalists going forward, we should address people by calling them Senator,
Minister,
or Minister this. Because in this country, we're so used to honorable. The word honorable epitomizes what is honorable. Something that it doesn't have any resemblance with what we just saw in that video. How do you make a statement and then you call, people in the streets will say stray bullet. You say when you are not a senator. What has Senator Natasha got to do with an accusation? And now the lady has brought proof. There's blueprint now. Are you going to say, oh no, she did? Because you were being asked earlier, did she do this for you? You said, initially you said you don't know her.
Yeah, so Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is also a bone in their throat, as you can see. Because this is sort of akin to the whole, Senator Natasha, this is not a nightclub statement. You can't keep making statements like that and then still give off the impression or try to expect that people would assume that you regard and respect women. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, beyond being someone's wife, she's a human in herself. She's desirous or she's deserving of respect. And the manner in which she was spoken about was totally, completely disrespectful to her. Not only was it disrespectful to her, it was disrespectful to Tresnitha, it was disrespectful to women. You don't commonize and make it an issue that is treated so lightly. And Senator Dave Umahi should apologize. He should apologize for that statement. It was made in bad taste. It was made in poor judgment. It was maybe made to be a joke, but it was not a joke. When you are a public figure, what you say in public is not a joke. And he was saying it in his capacity as senator. You can say that when if you want to say that, a minister rather, if you want to say such things, you better say it in your bedroom where you know nobody is going to hear it. But the moment you know it's going to come out, and it worries me that they can say this kind of things on camera. I shudder to think of what they say behind the scenes.
It's scary. But let's see what Nigerians are saying very quickly. Let's see how they're reacting to that story concerning the proof, if we do have. And it says, whatever that woman said is the truth. This man is not even shameless to mention another man's wife. Which one is, if Natasha is saying that I am chasing her, meaning I Natasha or more? That's what Victor
Yeah, I mean,
said.
you need to respect.
And that's what
that
you've given.
respect. And another man's wife.
Bimbola says Senator Natasha must be experiencing a lot of micro and macro aggression from those men that call themselves senators. God knows the amount of harassment she has received. Well, this is proof. And when she pushes back, the type of underhanded moves they will have done against her. Because why is this man mentioning her? Why did he mention her twice? Of what link does she have to this issue? Disgusting in
He
sense.
reached to 12.
This
He reached to
issue. I mean,
12.
what's the concern of Kogi West with
I don't
Ebonyi
understand.
State?
I
The
tell you.
statistician says this guy is typically saying that the allegations are true and Natasha was actually abused. You see, when you are in public office, you are giving credence. And that's what's happening. Obum says, Nigerians, wake up. This cannot even happen in Iran. A 7 minister making mockery of an accusation, insane claims. He will step down for this accusation to be thoroughly investigated. In Nigeria, we move on to another thrash. Never ending. It will only get worse.
And there are no consequences for bad behavior.
That's what it's looking like. Fair and just man says, honestly, the woman doesn't have the looks or the shape to warrant a 12 years.
Can I kindly say, with all disrespect
fair and just
to fair
man,
and just
you are not just
kindly
at all.
shut up. Please shut up. That's not a tweet that you should put out. How dare you? How dare you put out a tweet? Someone is complaining about her money being held, and your response is that she doesn't have the look or shape to be chased.
And who are you to pass judgment?
How dare you?
Anybody's look.
Honestly,
it
is
nice
tweets.
to put
It's
his
actually
profile
great.
picture up.
Yes, let's find out who's behind that account. If you want to be tweeting nonsense, at least tweet it with your full chest. Own it. Put your picture there. Let's see you, so that we know the people to avoid in society.
I've always said it that we have a problem. The generation of men.
Maybe it's those sachet drinks.
NAFDAC. So. Yeah, NAFDAC needs to ban those sachet drinks. Those especially the ones those monkeys. All those things, they need to ban them because I can see the
how
impact.
can you in
your right
senses? Somebody's love of my life. Someone's dad is one that tweeted that thing. That's very, very.
But that's not even all. Also be aware that there are pseudo handles, by the way. Pseudo handles that people have created to back nonsense and dirty things.
But I want to quickly take one or two comments from YouTube rather. Lenin Equere says, I haven't read or heard anywhere in the world that captured terrorists are rehabilitated. It's only in a country of special concern. So how do they expect someone to be recruited in the force with this? Chijoke Anyanwu, in response to Senator Dave Umahi and the clash with Tresinita, it says, all the well-meaning women should rise up against this nonsense.
We saw Senator Ireti Kingigbe.
Yes, Moku Yetukwemeka, we apologize for that. He's saying we should stop posting certain tweets, actually. We post them to highlight the way that people think and just to let you know that, we should put them on blast and put them on the spot. And we apologize for the shaky stream on YouTube. Our engineers are currently working on it. Let's now share with you the top stories this morning on Breakfast Central. This morning, we'll be analyzing the U.S.-Israeli strike on Iran and Nigeria's economy, what this means for us if we're looking on the sidelines. Now, network not adequate for real-time vote, INEC chairman says. We're back to this issue. And away from that, court affirms Ibadan PDP convention recognizes Turaki-led leadership. And the stakeholders call for voters' awareness, stronger oversight. We'll be also bringing the newspaper front pages this morning with our analysts and opening the phone lines for you to share your thoughts. Stay with us for all these and more. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. Tensions between the United States, Israel, and Iran have escalated sharply after recent strikes and counter-strikes in the Middle East, sending shockwaves through global markets and international travel routes. These developments are already starting to affect Nigeria's economy, currency, and ordinary travelers. And analysts say the conflict, especially fears of major supply disruption through the Strait of Hormuz, a key oil transit route, has pushed global crude prices higher, creating both potential opportunities and risks for Nigeria's oil-dependent economy. While higher oil prices could boost revenue and foreign exchange inflows, they also risk fueling inflation and exchange rate volatility if the situation drags on.
But the impact isn't just on markets. Air travel across the Middle East and beyond has ground to a halt, with many countries shutting their airspace for safety. As a result, Nigerian passengers flying to and from destinations like Qatar, the UAE, Iraq and Israel have found themselves stranded or stuck amid mass flight cancellations. Carriers including Qatar Airways, Emirates, Turkish Airline and others have suspended flights as regional airspace restrictions remain in place, leaving would-be travelers searching for alternative routes or waiting for new schedules. To help us make sense of all of this and how this geopolitical conflagration is intersecting with Nigeria's economy and the everyday lives of citizens, we're joined by Regional Coordinator, Central Africa Institute for Security Studies. Dr. Wale Ojawale joins us this morning. Thank you for being here all the way from Dakar.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so what triggered this latest US-Iran escalation? I mean, we've read it everywhere. There's been explainers. News Central has taken time to also put out some reports out there inundating Nigerians on what will happen and what could happen next. But how serious is this current situation?
Thank you so much for having me again. I think as it has been highlighted in the intro, this is a very serious crisis at hand. And coupled with the fact that there are very strategic supply chain implications for Nigeria. And not only that, it's also for volatile issues in Nigeria, which I believe we are all familiar with, which has to do with religious affiliation and orientation, or some sects in Nigeria who also pledge allegiance to theocratic government in Iran, which I believe the state authorities are trying to also respond to. So when you put all this together, we realize that it's not only for economic implication for Nigeria and the globe. Nigeria sits at a very strategic spot in terms of this religious conflagration that often rear its ugly head and can add a new layer to the crisis that we have in Nigeria, which I believe have a very serious implication. So looking in a comprehensive sense, this is something that is very, very serious and strategic, and that every country, like you have mentioned in your intro, has a sense of urgency to really respond to.
Now, Dr. Ojawale, I mean, we saw this play out over the weekend. The Israelis framed it as a preventative or preemptive strike against the government in Tehran, and the Iranians have responded, you know, bombing Israel and a few other GCC countries. Do you see this this escalation extending? Are we looking at a protracted conflict? And we saw what happened in Nigeria. The economy slowed down. The world supply chain economy and the implications of the Russia-Ukraine war in its early days. Do you think we'll be heading towards that, or this will be a quick operation?
I think the starting point is to highlight the fact that this has always been a frozen conflict and a perpetual one, that it is only when things resort to missile strikes that probably the whole world feel the impact. Are you with me?
Yes,
yes,
with you.
With you.
Okay, so in this sense now, we find a situation in which for the past 3 days, things have really become convoluted. And, you know, this dates back to many, many years, since the Obama years, the negotiation around the Iran nuclear deal, and then some spikes that have happened since then. So I believe, knowing fully well, that an ideological issue cannot be resolved based on the firing of missiles from both ends. What is going to probably put this to an, maybe I should just say maybe a pause or a stop now is going to be a diplomatic solution. So the reverberation in terms of social disruption, economic disruption, I think that is where lies the answer. But to think the overarching objective of regime change in Iran is suddenly going to turn things around, I do not subscribe to that idea in any way. Judging from a sense of history, I believe to the extent to which both forces are able to maybe embrace ceasefire and go back to the table is what can put a pause to that disruption now.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Joale. When you say going back to the table, they were at the table, they were negotiating. The foreign minister of Oman said Iran had already agreed to not enriching uranium and met some of the terms, and then this attack happened. Also, if you remember the operations last year when Israel struck Iran, they were in the middle of conversations in Qatar, and the Israelis tried to assassinate the negotiations. So you say this conflict has been frozen, and will it, with everything we're witnessing now and the breach of trust, will it be possible to actually go back to that table and speak? Because it seems the missiles are doing the talking now.
So this kind of convolution, all options will be on the table. You know, considering the sophistication of the actors in the theater now, I believe they have much more sophisticated information and intelligence in terms of what is going on. Don't forget that there was a bombing of some site in Iran, and then after that we find ourselves to the point that deployment has been made now. Yes, I read that account by the Oman minister, foreign minister, but I believe so strongly that they've put all options on the table. While we talk about enriching of uranium capacity, President Trump did not shy away from the fact that he wants Iranians to take over their government, and that is regime change. And you realize that within the 24 hours of firing of missiles, that has already been achieved. So I believe there is more to the enrichment of the uranium in terms of what the allied forces of Israel and the US wanted to achieve in Iran. And they have staked that, as we have seen now. So I believe perhaps the strike was also to force the hand of Iran to go back to the table and make some far-reaching concessions. So it is against that backdrop that I made a statement that all conflicts, on a final analysis, are resolved on the table of diplomacy and negotiation, and I think that is what is going to help to facilitate the return of peace to that region now.
All right. There are a number of questions that come to my head, but let me start with the January protests in Iran. We did see earlier where President Trump had said that help was coming, and many have interpreted what has happened to be help having come to Iran. He calls this operation Epic Fury and has called for Iranians to take over their government. Now, the question is, yes, you talked about, a transition in government. Are there concerns that what happened in Venezuela will be repeated here in Iran? Are the people of Iran going to then be encouraged to, take over things for themselves, by themselves? Because we've seen two sides of the argument. Those who argue that their sovereignty has been interrupted and disrespected, and others who say that this is help. We've seen some Iranians celebrating and jubilating as well. So how do you foresee that this will play out? And do you worry about reprisal attacks as a result of the killing of the Ayatollah?
I worry about so many things. I worry for Nigeria, I worry for Africa, because I believe so strongly that if Iran war comes on top of what we're already battling with, our own conflict on the continent are probably going to relegate it again back to the back burner. And then to the substantial question that you asked, I believe what happened in Venezuela is now a child's play to what has happened in Iran now. So the supreme leader was eliminated within 24 hours. Maduro was only abducted, or whatever they call it. And then where we are now, in terms of what I think is going to happen next, in terms of what are my worries and concerns, I believe so strongly that, yes, we've seen people that are protesting, some people are jubilating, and then anybody who also watched the video or the images that were being circulated on the internet yesterday in terms of the the number, the millions of followers that actually step out to mourn the death of Khamenei shows that the ideological wedge that the regime has over Iran is far-reaching than maybe the people that are actually protesting outside there. And if history is anything to guide us in any way, there was a regime change in Afghanistan, and 20 years after over $1 trillion has been spent, Taliban were back in power. The Iraq war actually was the albatross that that really frustrated the government of George Bush. And I think if you are guided by those two developments, this is not probably going to yield a very different result from what we have seen in the past. And that is the reason why I think a lot of people have been calling for caution. Consider the pivotal positioning of Iran rather, to global supply chain and some serious ramification that this is going to have, which is a lot of people also didn't envisage that this is going to strategically affect the travel industry, which has been disrupted in the last 24, 48 hours now. So I believe a lot of people think probably this is going to be a walkover, but event of the last 48 hours raise serious concern in terms of what are going to be the potential consequences if this continues to drag on.
Okay, I'd like us to bring it back home, because the conversation concerning what just happened, of course, we could say is very huge. We could see it affecting different parts, different countries, the global economy outlook, especially when it comes to oil and gas, buying, prices, name it. But here in Nigeria, I know you are in Dakar, so we might as well just tag it as Africa. What should Africa expect to feel, either as a form of what happened, and will it affect Africa's economy either for the better, or will Africa need to find another means to ensure that whatever happened in the global stage will not in any way affect the continent, especially from the African Union aspect?
No, we can only minimize the risk. Nobody is isolated. Nobody is insulated against what is happening and what is going to happen next. For instance, Nigeria, that is an oil-producing country, you know, we are going to, it's going to be a double-edged sword in a way. Yes, yeah, I think yesterday report shows that the price of oil has jumped from $73 to $80. I'm seeing some reports this morning that are also showing that things might be tilting towards $100 per barrel. That means maybe much is going to be coming into the coffer of Nigeria. But, you know, Nigeria, like any other, most African countries, are import-dependent countries. So if the supply chain is affected, if the price of oil goes up, then it's about what you get from the right goes away through the left hand again. So I think the critical areas that this can affect us, which it has always been, whether it is from COVID-19 to all other disruptions that have happened, is that African countries suddenly realize how much they are reliant, how much they have built their system around the global supply chain. And they begin, and for instance, if you look at the area of food security, where you talk about the dependence on wheat supply from Ukraine and all those things. And in the midst of crisis, they suddenly realize that they need to decouple. And immediately the crisis passes away, even if it lasts for 2-3 years, like the COVID-19, they then suddenly go back to the old normal. So I don't see the preparedness on the part of Africa. African countries are going to be seriously hit. The price of oil will go up, particularly for countries that are not oil producing, and Nigeria that is also oil producing and dependent on various importations that are coming into the country. So I believe nobody has prepared for this, even though the previous crisis taught us some lessons. And we are just going to go through it as we have always been going through it as usual. Nigeria has a bit of an edge now because of the Dangote refinery. But you know what? Everything also had to everything, like I mentioned originally. Dangote is also not sourcing the oil from Nigeria. I'm talking about the crude. And if the supply chain is disrupted in any way, the cost is going to be passed to the final consumers. Insurance companies, I'm talking about maritime insurance companies are already complaining if the Strait of Hormuz is affected and things become strained. those costs are going to be passed to the end users in Africa. We are not insulated in any way, and we have never really demonstrated the resilience to prepare for crisis.
Now, Dr. Joali, let's look at where Nigeria sits. Nationhood right now, we're in a very precarious situation with the level of insecurity we're witnessing. And also the partnership, military partnership deal with the United States. Because over the weekend, I mean, nobody expected. The Iranians have said they will do it, and they carried out their threats. We saw Manama in Bahrain, the US Sixth Fleet was hit, residential buildings in hotels in Dubai. We also saw attacks on Qatar. These are Gulf GCC countries, allies of the United States, Al Hudaid in Qatar. These are countries that host United States military bases, and Iran said as a result of that, they are fair game. Because of this recent partnership with the United States, the talks of Nigeria possibly hosting a U.S. refueling base, and we've seen very good relationships with the Tinubu administration and the Trump presidency. Should we be wary of such, knowing that the Americans might be very interested in having a base, perhaps, of some sort, following the loss of their drone bases in Niger?
Well, I think that is a very, very delicate issue in Nigeria now. But, you know, a man that is flat on the ground and is challenged by certain afflictions, if he's taken to the operation theater, has very limited input in terms of what the doctors are going to do. I think that illustrates the situation in Nigeria now. We've moved from we're going to come to fire Tomahawk missiles to now changing that narrative to a cooperative one. And I have seen a very serious pushback from the section of the country who are insisting that the American drone refueling base cannot be situated in Nigeria. I think I foresee a compromise, really, because judging by some media reports that have been we've been seeing, I think there's been a strategic shift in terms of the counter-terrorism operation as a result of the cooperation that Nigeria has forged with the U.S. in the recent time. And don't forget that this goes beyond really military partnership. We are looking at other areas of compromises and concessions that both countries are going to be eating at. Nigeria is already designated as a country of concern. Nigeria wants to do everything to get the country off that list, and that point in the direction of the concessions that I said are probably going to be made. What I see on the long run is that why the extreme northern part of the country, that constituency, might not want to have that military base here. I foresee that such a refueling base might probably be placed somewhere around north central or southwest. I think that is probably going to be part of the concession that Nigeria is going to make. Perhaps just to ensure that it not only serve American strategic interest, but it also advance Nigeria's security interest.
All right, so I have a twofold question. Again, bringing it back to how it impacts Nigerians at home and abroad. You did mention earlier that Nigeria has a slightly better advantage as a result of the Dangote refinery, but we know that a lot of decisions are based on the price of oil. Our budget is oftentimes, drawn based on that. So what necessary precautions should be taken? Because you did mention, of course, that yes, Dangote refinery is an edge, but it's not completely exempt from the repercussion that this might have on us as a nation. So what necessary precautions should we take as a nation in terms of our budgeting? What precautions can businesses and individuals take? And for Nigerians in the diaspora, what do they need to do at this moment? Those especially in like Doha, Dubai, in all these places where they are having to face the collateral effect of what's happened between Israel, US, and Iran.
One, it saddens the heart that why the Dangote refinery should be a game changer. I'm personally appalled that Dangote needs to be sourcing for the crude outside Nigeria, even though we see it on a very serious deposit of oil. So I will expect that previous conversation around crude for Naira, all those policies that the government had with Dangote are actually seen to be implemented fully, that Dangote can first source the crude from Nigeria, refine in Nigeria, and prioritize Nigeria as the first supply destination for the consumption of those oil. Those are the areas which I think we really need to strengthen now to at least edge Nigeria against the possible consequences of these lingering crises. And to the other Nigerians that are already in the diaspora who have been caught up in this, I think they just have to abide by travel advisories. And I do hope that Nigerian embassies in those countries are on top of the game now, ensuring that the lives and the properties of Nigeria in those places that are becoming the proxies for this Iran conflict are actually addressed, and people are not left alone to really sort themselves out in a land in which they do not really understand what happens next. So I think the responsibility falls on the Nigerian Foreign Affairs Ministry, the embassies and consulate in those countries to ensure that the lives of our people are safe, and as much as they can really repatriate them, they provide that support now. Nigeria has huge presence in some of those countries, particularly the UAE, Qatar, and a few of them. So I expect that to take place on the part of the Foreign Affairs Ministry to really swing into action.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Wale Ojewale, Regional Coordinator, Central African Institute for Security Studies, joining us live from Dhaka this morning. We do appreciate your insights on this important topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, over the weekend as well, stakeholders concerning Nigeria's 2027 presidential election did meet, and the conversation was a heated one. There were conversations around if the transmission of election results will be done immediately or it will not be done, talking about real time. And there were also conversations around what happened in 2023, if it was also going to repeat itself come 2027. We'll look into that information shortly, but let's quickly tell you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recently brokered a peace accord between the governor of Rivers State and the minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, signaling an end to their long-term feud. Well, many have described the peace deal as a welcome development, and towing the same line, a group, Rivers Women Unite for SIM, are optimistic that the reconciliation will promote lasting peace and political stability in the state. The women who gather to celebrate the reconciliation say the truce between the duo will enhance the socio-economic fortunes of the state, paving the way for smooth governance. Let's just take a look at this.
There comes a time, after much argument, people want to move forward, because really and truly, without peace, nothing good can come out of this land. We have seen it, the fight has gone on long enough. And when there's this kind of prolonged challenge or problem or misunderstanding or quarrel or fighting or whatever it is, the women are the most vulnerable. The children are the most vulnerable. And of course, our young adults, our youth, what example are we setting for them? What hope are we giving to them? If we truly believe in the renewed hope agenda, then it's time to sheath our swords and move forward. And we pray that this time it will be lasting peace, that the peace will be sustained. God bless the governor of Rivers State, and God bless the FCT minister. He is our leader, is he not? He is our governor, is he not? I also acknowledge President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's the father of the nation. He's our president.
I just want to congratulate the women of Rivers State. I congratulate them because what they've been doing is so interesting and very beneficial to the state. The various factions or the various groups should learn to forgive. Let bygone be bygone. Let Rivers State attain the height it has been in the past, even surpass it.
What we've been planning and hoping for was lasting peace, and by God, lasting peace has come. We came all the way to come, felicitate with them, dance, eat, and thank God. And thank God that everything is going as well as planned. You know, what the devil meant for bad, God has turned it for good. So at the end of the day, love is back in River State. There is brotherly love, as you can see. Everybody is happy. I just want to say thank God for that.
Interesting.
Love is back in River State.
Love is back in River State.
Let there be one.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
But I'm wondering, if love is back in River State, we did see the governor last week warning his newly appointed SSA to be careful if not...
Not SSA, Chief
no.
of Staff.
Chief of Staff.
I beg
A
your
whole
pardon.
Chief of Staff.
He appointed a special assistant and also a chief of staff. But the warning was to the chief of staff, I agree, and he told him that you must not have meetings behind my back, you must not make calls.
It was a
talking
riot
loud.
call.
If you do that,
a riot
he told him,
act,
I will fire, sack.
But do you think, I mean, because we've been here before, and those people that spend money, you know, putting up the banner, getting entertainers, I think it's still premature. Because there was reconciliation earlier, and which happened to be peace of the grave. And then it boiled into a full-blown conflict, impeachment threats, and then now they're celebrating Valentine's Day.
I love the Valentine's.
Let's hope they keep the peace, because the Rivers people deserve better, and they need to face governance.
Absolutely. I mean,
Less
like
distraction.
Joe mentioned.
More love, less ego.
More love, less fight. That
But
sounds
don't
like
be
an
talking,
album.
that's Whiskey's album.
Yes.
Or don't be talking to anybody anyhow. What was the riot attack? Oh,
Exactly.
If it was me,
I don't know, do we have that riot attack? Maybe we'll get that
and this
video.
was in reference to our conversation last week about the governor
we'll get
having
that video on
appointed
cue
the new
and then-
SSG and the new chief of staff. And you would think that, okay, it's all kumbaya.
Imagine your
everyone's
first day
working
at
together.
work.
But that just gave off the impression that the chief of staff and the SSG appointment was not directly... I mean, that was the assumption, that from the drama going on, that the governor maybe didn't approve of the people. Because if I'm appointing someone to be my SSG and another person to be my chief of staff, my chief of staff is like my right-hand man.
Absolutely.
So I trust you. I trust that you're not going to mess me up privately or publicly. So coming to read riot acts in public did not look like he influenced that decision. Let's take a look at the video and bring a refresher, a reminder of some sort.
It's not for any political empowerment that you are appointed, you start raising or believing that you have a platform to abuse, insult, or create problem. It is an appointment to help this administration survive. Your duty is to represent the state in the most respectful way, bearing in mind that what is important to this administration now is to succeed. What is important to this administration is to see that the good works that we started, the ones that we met, we must conclude them in a way that will bring progress and development to Abia State. For the Chief of Staff for Government House, you're working under me. It's not a position that, as you're living here now, you start holding meeting, calling people without my permission. If you involve yourself in nocturnal meeting and all those, I will sack you. I'm very serious. What is important to me today is peace, progress, and prosperity.
And that is the riot act that has been read. If you do anyhow, you see anyhow.
That's what they say. How do they say?
Everybody go collect.
And talking tough. But I've also seen comments in other places where people ask that, can he take a unilateral decision to sack those
chief of staff
he threatened to sack?
Can you hire who you did not fire?
They said the appointment was part of the reconciliation.
Peace accord. Sorry.
Yeah,
can you fire who you did not hire?
I don't.
But we don't know. We don't know who did the hiring. We're not saying.
You know what that?
But happy Valentine's Day.
Just speculating. So that if the chief of staff was appointed by Governor Wike-Fubara, would he read the Riot Act in public?
That's what I was saying.
Some sort of respect.
It's smelling. We are just, to our viewers, we're just speculating.
And it's not our analysis. Analysis of what we get from the public.
The feedback.
People are, it's like, the appointment was part of the peace accord deal, and therefore, where he said, don't make calls.
You know what? Let's actually move on to our next conversation. But we're going to quick break. And when we come back, we have some very interesting drama to look at regarding Nigeria's politicals.
But let's see what's coming up next.
Let's see what's coming up next.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The debate over transparency in Nigeria's electoral process is heating up again as citizens, civil society groups and legal experts renew calls for the mandatory electronic transmission of election results. With the 2027 elections on the horizon, many argue this reform is critical to restoring public trust in our democracy.
On the other hand, skeptics point to infrastructure gaps such as poor internet connectivity, unreliable power supply, and legal ambiguities as reasons why Nigeria may not yet be ready. Today, we'll be taking a deep look into this issue with someone who knows the system inside out. Joining us for this discussion is the former National Commissioner of INEC, Festus Okoye. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
All right. Mr. Okoye, Nigerians say the 2023 elections exposed fundamental weaknesses in result collation, particularly because of the lack of real-time transmission, which they have advocated for in this current cycle. Do you, first of all, agree that mandatory electronic transmission is the only way to rebuild trust in Nigeria's electoral process? Or maybe we should ask if you agree that the 2023 election was marred as a result of the failure of real-time collation.
Well, with the benefit of hindsight and on deeper reflection, I believe that every electoral management body must pay attention to public opinion, but ultimately rely on the constitutional and legal framework for the conduct of election in relation to what it does. Having said that, let me put it this way, that from beginning, it is very clear, and it was very clear to everybody, that there was some level of misinterpretation, misalignment, and misinformation relating to the provisions of the law. Right from beginning, from EC8A had always been and had remained the primary source of collation of results. Now, even before the conduct of the 2023 general election, the Supreme Court had interpreted the provisions of the law relating to what Nigerians called electronic transmission of results. And the Supreme Court had made it very clear in the case of Oyetola that the INEC Result Viewing Portal was not a collation portal, that it was established purposely and mainly for purposes of giving Nigerians a sense of what is going on at the polling unit or what goes on at the polling unit, and just for public accountability and not part of the collation system. And so to that particular extent, so many Nigerians misinterpreted the establishment of the IREF portal as a collation process and as a collation system. But the Supreme Court made it very clear that the IREF portal was not established as a collation system, and that results from the IREF do not go to the collation process, they go to a different process. If you recall, before the 2023 general election, the Independent National Electoral Commission established several portals. One established what we call the Candidates Nomination Portal, through which political parties transmit or forward the list of their duly nominated candidates to the Electoral Management Body. The Commission also established an observer portal for domestic and international election observers to apply for purposes of election observation. It also established a portal for political parties to upload the list and particulars of their polling agents, and also establish a portal for the media to apply for accreditation. So the IREF portal was one of those portals, but it did not, is not part of the collation process and was never meant to be a part of the collation process. But you know, so much happened during that particular period, and most Nigerians believe that the IREF portal and the results from the IREF portal are used for purposes of collation. But in truth and in fact, and in law, it was not meant to be so.
So, I mean, what we're saying here, we just want to get it clear, because
Yes.
you were part and parcel of the entire build-up planning to the 2023 elections, which inadvertently transformed and reimagined, as it were, the way Nigerians see elections and the electoral system today. So we want to get it clearly. One, are you saying, Barrister Okoye, that the immediate transmission of results on the IREF portal was never in the plan during the entire planning for 2023? We just want to get that out of the way.
No. The commission clearly established the INEC result viewing portal. The term is INEC result viewing portal. So it was in the plan. It was in the plan by the electoral management body to allow Nigerians have a sense of what goes on at the polling unit, to allow Nigerians follow what goes on at the polling unit. And Nigerians commended the establishment of IREF because it allows even some political parties established situation rooms. As the results were coming in on the IREF portal, they were also collating their own results and also comparing it with what their polling agents were giving them, both at the level of the polling units and also at the level of the collation center. But in terms of the collation of results at the first level of collation, if you recall, Nigeria has 8,809 registration areas for electoral wards. That is the first level of collation. So what happens is that the moment elections are over at the level of the polling unit, the presiding officer, as it were, sorts out the votes, counts the votes, enters them into Form EC8A, stamps and signs, and then polling agents, if available, they will sign, and then copies will be given to them. Now, a copy of that particular result is scanned, is snapped, and uploaded into the IREF portal for public viewing to allow Nigerians an opportunity of knowing what is going on. Thereafter, the presiding officer carries the ballot papers, the ballot box, the beavers, as it were, and every other election material to the registration area and hands over everything to the collation officer for the registration area, who now collates the results. The collation officer does not collate the results based on what is in the IREF. The presiding officer collates the results based on the manually transmitted result, the manually handed over result to him. So that is the procedure, and that is what goes on at the level of the polling units and at the level of the collation centers.
All right, let's now talk about what the current reality is. There were pushbacks against the insistence that there is real-time transmission of the results in the Electoral Act. And, you know, the electoral reforms have kicked in. They have, yes, said there will be transmission, but not real-time. There's been the argument as to whether or not Nigeria is ready at this moment to handle real-time transmission, and if we have the facility for that. But I would like to get your insights on our readiness or lack thereof.
I think that in trying to understand this, we must separate or segregate two things. The first is the whole issue about real-time transmission of results. And the second one is about the preparedness or readiness of the electoral management body and Nigeria to transmit election results. Now, I think that there has been so much misinformation relating to what the law provides. Now, there's, because the narrative out there talks about real-time electronic transmission of results and leaves it there, which has created the impression that what is being provided, what Nigerians are fighting for, is real-time electronic transmission to the collation portal. But the law, as it was being written, relates to real-time electronic transmission of results to the IREF portal. And the Supreme Court has told us that the IREF portal is not a collation portal. So I thought that the debate will revolve around real-time electronic transmission of results to the collation portal, because it is only the results that go to the collation portal that will be used for purposes of collating results, making declaration, and making return. So these are two different things. Now, if you look at Section 60 of the current Electoral Act 2026, there are two layers that he has provided. The first layer he has provided talks about electronic transmission of results to the IREF portal, and that the moment elections are over at the level of the polling unit, that the presiding officer will sign and stamp. The polling agents will countersign if they are available, and then copies will be given to them. And then that copy will be uploaded into the IREF portal. Now, that is one. Then secondly, it also provides that in trying to upload that result to the IREF portal, if there's network challenge, that from EC8A, that is the primary result, will prevail if there's network challenge in that particular polling unit. As far as I'm concerned, that the proviso is a derogation. He has derogated from what he provided in Section 60, subsection 3. But whether it derogates or not, the result that we are talking about in terms of from EC8A goes to the IREF portal for public viewing. It does not go to the collation process. I thought that people will be focusing on Section 60, subsection 5, which mandates the presiding officer to transmit the results of the election at the polling unit to the collation portal. Now, it does not use the word electronically transmit. It uses the word electronically transmit in Section 60, subsection 3, but in Section 60, subsection 5, it does not use the word electronically transmit. So there are two levels of transmission. The transmission to the IREF portal as provided in Section 60, subsection 3, and the transmission to the collation center as provided in Section 60, subsection 5. Now, if you want to understand the import and the purport of Section 60, subsection 5, you have to go to Section 155, which is the interpretation section. The interpretation section defines transmit to mean to send, to transfer, electronically or manually. So, what Section 60, subsection 5 has done is to give a discretion to the electoral management body to transfer that from EC8A, either electronically or manually, to the next level of collation. So that is the one that is important, not Section 60, subsection 3, that deals with electronic transmission of results to the IREF portal.
Now, Mr. Okoye, quick one, just to clarify things, but we'll go on a quick break now, and when we return, I'll ask my question.
So, from what he's saying, Section 60 subsection.
Breakfast Central. Thanks for staying with us. We're currently in conversation with Barrister Festus Okoye, former resident electoral commissioner at the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, before we went to the break, you did well to break down the relevant sections in the Constitution that speaks about the mode of transmission. Now, you mentioned something particularly catchy and interesting. I would like us to beam our attention on it and also educate Nigerians further you said the concern or the focus should have been on the collation portal rather than IREV. What reasons, what made you say that? And I also want to know if the collation portal is available for members of the public to view and how it works, the whole system.
Established by the Independent National Electoral Commission to enhance what I call transparency in the electoral process. So that is for public viewing. Now, the collation portal is where the results of elections go to. Now, it depends on the disposition of the electoral management body on whether it wants Nigerians to also view the results that goes on in the collation portal. As I pointed out, Section 60, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act 2026 provides, let me read it. It says, the presiding officer shall transmit the results, including total number of accredited voters, to the next level of collation. To the next level of collation. From the polling unit, the next level of collation is the registration area collation center. That is the first level of collation. So he's saying this transfer will take place to that next level of collation. It is that transfer that is used for purposes of declaration of results. The results that goes, the upload of from EC8A that goes to the IREV portal does not go to the collation center, and it is not used for purposes of collation of results. It's also used, it's only used for purposes of accountability. It's only used to allow Nigerians know what goes on at the level of the polling unit. But at the level of collation, at the level where results are tabulated, where results are declared, it does not go there. So my position is that, yes, electronic transmission of results will make for transparency. It will also give Nigerians a sense that we are transiting scientifically and technologically. But for me, what I would prefer is a duality in transmission of results. We have both the physically transmitted results in terms of from EC8A that is manually taken to the collation center, and then we should also have the electronically transmitted results that are transmitted directly from the polling unit to the collation center, so that at the end of the day, if there's a discrepancy, if there's a problem between the manually collated result and the electronically transmitted result, the electronically transmitted result will prevail or shall prevail. But as of today, that is not the case. The proviso to Section 60, subsection 3, which the lawmakers, in their wisdom, inserted into the Electoral Act, has derogated from making the electronically transmitted results as the primary source of collation. It has domiciled the primary source of collation of election results as from EC8A as manually transmitted or as manually carried and taken to the collation center.
All right, you've explained and you're advocating for the duality of these, that's the manual and the electronic transmission at the same time, and that where the manual fails or where there's any discrepancy, there'll be a heavy reliance on the electronic one. What would be your response to those who say, again, that we're not ready for that? You know, part of the argument was, again, the network challenges in some states within Nigeria. Do we have the facility to ensure this? Because that's the argument that those who have kicked against this have pushed for.
You know, I think that one of the biggest challenges we have in this country is that we don't pay attention to history. We don't pay attention to precedent, and we don't pay attention to what we've done before. If you recall, and I've said it, this debate, these arguments, these disputations took place in 2018, 2019, and 2021, and also before the general election. In 2018, the Electoral Management Body and the NCC established a joint committee to look into these issues. And if I recall, the NCC was led by a commissioner called Maska, while the INEC team was led by Dr. Mustafa Leki. At the end of the day, in 2018, there is submitted a report and said that 93% of all the polling units of the Independent National Electoral Commission are covered by the major networks, and that the remaining 7%, the network operators who were part of this particular team agreed that they have the capacity to cover the remaining 7%. So, and this report was submitted in 2018. So from 2018 to now, unless you are telling me that there has been a regression rather than a progression, I believe that the debate relating to network coverage is really, really redundant. And if you also recall, in 2021, when this debate was also raging, the Independent National Electoral Commission produced what they call the position paper number 1 of 2021, where it made its position very clear on the whole issue about electronic transmission of results. And he said that the BVAS, as we know it, has established what he called a technological convergence, that the BVAS, as you have it, can be used for purposes of voter registration, and during voter registration, you call it the IVED, INEC Voter Enrollment Device. It is the same device. During elections, you use it for purposes of voter authentication, and you call it the BVAS. And then for result upload, you call it the IREV. So that particular gadget also has capacity to be used as a electronic voting machine if it is properly configured. So I think that this debate has taken place, and I don't think that there's any need for us to return to a debate that has taken place. And as far as I'm concerned, the debate is now redundant.
But Barrister Okoye, if you say it's redundant, well, I think we'll be doing Nigerians a disfavor. Let me put it that way. But yes, there's so many questions to ask, because you've raised a lot of dust right now. One, what we can rightly say is that the manual collation seems to be fixed, but the digital is not. So we've cleared that. Yes. And you're saying that the argument should have been that Nigerians should fight for both the manual and the digital, most importantly, so they would run concurrently. But I just want to move away from that conversation because you've highlighted that. You were part of the 2023 elections once again. And like I did say, you were a very strong bona fide member of the entire planning. I want to show a video to you, which happens to be the former INEC boss. And he made this statement, and then I would bring my question to you after we watch this footage.
With the pilot that we have conducted, and we're reasonably confident in the strength of the processes.
I mean, even in rural areas.
The machine on election day doesn't rely on the internet to accredit voters. It works offline. Now, when it comes to transmission of results, that's why you need network. But if there's no network in the immediate vicinity, the scanned image of the polling unit level results, which is taken using the BVAS, will be transmitted as soon as the staff move from the polling units to the collection centers. And we have been working with the major telecom companies in Nigeria, and we are satisfied that the number of blind spots can be addressed in the country, and the number of blind spots where you have no network.
I mean, I can really say that that was your boss right there who was making clarification as regards the IREV. And you've mentioned that the IREV and the BVAS is one in all. It's the same machine. During registration, yes. BVAS, during election, IREV. But during the debate, members in the parliament did say that, oh, network will not allow it to work, you're not certain. I want to ask a question. Do you think that the members of the assembly did not do their due diligence, probably inviting people like yourself and the Minister of Information and Digital Economy to brief them properly so they can do the right thing? Or do you see this as another failure as we walk up to 2027 in Nigeria's election?
Let me say this. Constitutionally and legally, the two chambers of the National Assembly have been given the constitutional right, constitutional virus to make laws. Those outside, you can only make recommendations, you can only make suggestions to them. But ultimately, the task of lawmaking is reserved for the two chambers of the National Assembly in terms of especially issues that are in the exclusive legislative list. My second point is that lawmaking in any part of the world has never been neutral. Sometimes individuals who are in parliament write their personal interests into laws. Sometimes they write group interests into laws. Sometimes they write into laws even the perspectives and interests of their own political parties, the interests of lobbyists and so on. So laws have never been neutral, and that is my second point. My third point is that the issue about network coverage, I'm saying that that debate had taken place before the making of the 2022 Electoral Act. During that particular period, all these individuals were invited to make their own positions known. And because the electoral management body felt that he needed to also put out his own position from a non-partisan point of view, he produced his own position paper and domiciled it within the public domain. So I think that what took place in Parliament is just, for me, it's just politics that took place in Parliament. Most of the parliamentarians know that the electoral management body had capacities he says he has. And that secondly, that the moment the from EC8A is uploaded into the beavers, that it locks it up there. And when it gets network, it transmits automatically. And as far as I'm concerned, there is no registration area in Nigeria that does not have network coverage. So if you step out from the polling unit and you go to the registration area, before you even arrive at the registration area, the locked up from EC8A will have encountered one of the major networks, and it will just transmit to the IREF directly. But my own concern is that what I want is that transmission to be to the collation system, so that it will become part of the collation process. But having said that, let me also say this, that when the result gets to the first level of collation, which is the registration area center, that the beavers, that gadget is handed over to the collation officer. And the collation officer has in front of him the manually collated result, which will be handed over to him by the presiding officer. He will also look at the beavers itself to look at the number of registered voters in that particular polling unit, the number of accredited voters in that particular unit, and the number of those who voted in that particular unit. And he will also look at the manually collated one and see whether they rhyme. So I think that the integrity and the professionalism of the collation officer is also key in some of these issues we are talking about.
All right. It's quite the conversation that we have. I think my final question, as much as you can in 30 seconds, there's still an advocating on the part of those who pushed back for electoral reforms. There's still an advocating for Nigerians to rise up and speak up and ensure that the necessary changes are reflected in the amendment, or that there is another amendment done before 2027 election. What would your response be to those who are calling for Nigerians to speak up for another amendment?
Prepare for the 2027 general election, that even with the 2022 Electoral Act, that if we act ethically, if we act professionally, if political parties believe in the rule of law, due process, and in democracy, we can use even the 2022 Electoral Act to conduct free, fair, and transparent election. Laws don't conduct elections. Human beings do conduct elections. So I think that if Nigerians believe in this democracy, if they believe in the electoral process, if they want the votes of the people to be the deciding factor in terms of who gets elected, we can get it right, even without any further amendment to the electoral legal framework.
And do you believe in this electoral process yourself?
I believe in democracy. I fought for democracy, and I will want democracy to survive in this country. But I believe that there are some individuals and some groups that don't believe in this particular process and are treating democracy with disdain. If democracy fails, all of us will be in trouble. And I say this because there are a lot of young people who have more or less disengaged from the electoral process and are looking towards some West African countries where we had unconstitutional, where we have unconstitutional regimes. I want them to return back and let us fight to make sure that our democracy survives, because it is not easy to live in an unconstitutional government. We live through it and we suffer through it, and we don't want to go through it anymore.
These individuals that you speak up, and this will be my final question, these individuals that you speak up, did they in some measure play a part in 2023 elections and the criticism following? I know part of the questions that Nigerians are asking, you know, we do have that, it's even on YouTube here. Nigerians are saying they're not quite sure what caused the glitch in the 2023 general elections.
Well, you know that whole issue was domiciled with the presidential election tribunal. The deputy director in charge of ICT in the Independent National Electoral Commission went before the tribunal and explained to Nigerians what really went wrong with the upload of the presidential election results. And I think that his explanation should be sufficient, especially for those of them who are versatile with ICT and technology.
All right, Barrister Festus Okoye, time will not allow us to ask so many questions. I hope when we extend our invitation to you again, you would be ready to speak with us, especially as we build up towards the primaries and the eventual elections, and not forgetting to your belief on the current INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amukpita. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for joining us live in our Abuja studios.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to our next story very quickly. And Oyo State High Court is a story we're going to look into concerning the PDP crisis. One is upheld, the other one, well, in shambles. But let's go on a quick break. After the break, we'll look at the PDP and the recent issues. Stay with us.
An Oyo State High Court sitting in Ibadan has affirmed the validity of the November 15, 2025 National Convention of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, which produced Kabiru Tanimu Turaki as the party's substantive national chairman. Delivering judgment, Justice Ladinro Akintola upheld all 13 reliefs sought by the claimant, ruling that the convention complied with the 1999 Constitution, the Electoral Act 2022 as amended, and other relevant electoral laws. The court also dismissed applications seeking a stay of proceedings and directed the Independent National Electoral Commission to recognize and give effect to the convention's outcome, including the Turaki-led National Working Committee. And this ruling comes amid a prolonged leadership crisis within the PDP following an earlier federal high court judgment in January 2026 that nullified the same convention.
The conflicting decisions have deepened divisions within the party, with a rival bloc reportedly aligned with Nyesom Wike dismissing the latest judgment. Multiple appeals on the matter are currently before the Court of Appeal in Abuja, which has reserved judgment, leaving the PDP's leadership dispute unresolved. Now, joining us this morning to discuss this is a PDP member, Andrew Enater Pimen. Good morning, Andrew, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Andrew Natome.
Natome, thank you very much, Mr. Natome. With one court approving the Ibadan Convention and another earlier court rejecting it, which decision should the party practically follow right now? Because they've been saying they're going to appeal this decision. And has the other camp taken this recent development?
Of course, it's the Federal High Court that the party is going to toe the line of the Federal High Court. The Federal High Court, of course, supersedes the State High Court. You cannot, we're a party governed by law, not emotion, not sentiment. You cannot be shopping for judgment from one state court to the other, because of course everybody knows that most state high courts are, controlled by the state government. Most time, in most cases, not really. I wouldn't say judiciary independence is being affected under state high court, but in this part of the world, any state high court most time is always under the authority of the state government. They have influence over state high court. That's the reason why federal high court stands. People tend to think towards the federal high court. Not there's already a sustained judgment of a federal high court, then you went ahead and sought for a judgment at the state high court being controlled by the state government that you know is already having a controversial issue regarding the convention. When there is even an appeal court judgment waiting to be delivered, you have to understand the tricks behind this thing. So it's quite unfortunate that from this other side of the divide, we the members of the People's Democratic Party that have laid our life on the line, that have paid our dues with due diligence, we've made so many sacrifices to ensure that the party is where it is today. It's so sad and it brokens our heart that we see most of these elders trading with this party this way, the way they feel like. One man cannot sit down in the corner of his house because he's a governor that has a few days to lead the corridor of power, and you are toiling with a party that you came to ride on the glory. Makinde have always been in other political parties from SDP to this, then we brought him to PDP to come and contest. Of course, he now become the governor. Now, you being a governor shouldn't just give you the authority to want to destroy the party that give you a leverage to build on. There's already a federal high court that have delivered a judgment where the INEC have recognized the National Caretaker Working Committee. Of course, you know, if there was never a National Caretaker Working Committee, by now PDP would have gone into extinction. The name of PDP would have gone into extinction because it will not be recognized by any law. This is a party that is built on principle, that is built on law, that is built on morals and values. You wouldn't say because you are emotional, because you are sentimental, you want the court, the INEC or the institution to just accept you. People's Democratic Party is an institution. It's not a one-man business. It's not a one-man show. That you will sit at the corner of your house, you can shop from one court judgment to the other. Then you think after that, you want to come and manipulate your way through emotions and let the people accept you. It doesn't work that way. And it saddens our heart that even people that should know better, the lawyers, the sons that should know better are the one, constituted this news and stuff and that. It's really painful. It's really sad.
Okay.
But
all right.
I know we're going to get over it.
You just expressed sadness over the lawyers and the judges who are engaged in this. And you also referred to the Oyo State governor as one who's controversial. But are you
absolutely also... most of this crisis?
That's fine.
He's moving to ADC right now. Okay. He's on his way to ADC after creating crisis in PDP.
Okay, hold on. I'm coming. I've not landed with my question. Sorry to. I just need to. But don't you think the FCT minister too is controversial? I mean, because if you call the Oyo State governor controversial, you've listed the things he's done. Right in front of me here, we have responses, actions, statements from even your party members who have fingered the FCT minister to equally be controversial. How, you may ask? Well, he is in the PDP, he is supporting the APC. He is in the PDP, he's making very strong remarks about making sure that the APC wins. Don't you think that's anti-party, and don't you think that's playing politics in a different way, which will also affect the PDP, because you're not talking about that? So can you shed more light on that as well?
People, the few of us that came from the school, from an activity school of thought, being a unionist, we speak truth to power. We're trained to speak truth to power, irrespective of who else is involved. And when the things are going wrong, we tell them the way it is. We don't cut corners, we don't cut shots, we don't take sentiment. We hold the boss and we speak it. Now, this is the thing you have to understand. People's Democratic Party is a structure that belongs to the people, not to one man. In build-up to some of this crisis, one man woke up one day because he has a presidential ambition, decided to fight, I need to pull down certain people. Now, I begin to tell people that cares to understand that if I am in a political cycle, I cannot wait for you to pull me down. I want to fold hand and allow you to pull me down. Do you know what they try to do to Makinde, to Wike, and to Anyanwu and to other people? They amputate their hands, they amputate their legs, and they tell them to start running. That's without providing wheelchair or crutches. That's exactly what they try to do. You cannot sit down. You want to destroy a man that has a political future, that has built his political structure over the years, over the decades. Because of a personal ambition, you want to destroy the man. You want the man to fall down and watch you. It doesn't go that way. Prior to this era, we can have made them to understand. Let's share this structure the way it have always been. Of course, I am a leader in South-South. Ayahu is a leader in South-East. Makinde, you are a leader in South-West. Damango, you are a leader in North-West. Balongma, you are a leader in North-East. Just like that. Every key player in this political equation, let's share this structure the way it should be. Do you know we would have been in this quagmire we are now if these guys were not greedy? They are busy pointing fingers at Wike. If Wike does what is wrong. Look at most of my interviews over the years, decades. I've always accused leaders that were wrong. If Wike was wrong in this situation, I will have accused him directly. Do you realize before Wike pick up this so-called appointment that they're accusing him, today Wike is one of the best ministers this country has ever produced.
So in your words, permit me to butt in again so that Nigerians can understand this. On the other hand, again, a governor is controversial, but the FCT minister is not controversial. Despite all the things that we have seen in action, he is still not controversial. Is that what you are saying? And do you think you're being biased or you're not being biased by this statement?
I don't understand the way you define your own controversy. My own way of defining controversy is when you are trying to do what is wrong, you are being controversial. But in this situation, prior to this crisis, you have to trace it back to where the crisis is coming from. I have been in this party since year 2000. I think I have paid my dues. I have traveled around the whole party structure in the whole 36 states on 3 different occasions. So you could understand the sacrifices that most of us have made. We understand the party at the back of our palm because we practice party politics. Now, you have to understand the beginning of this crisis. One man sat down somewhere and decided to pick the whole structure of the whole political party alone. Prior to this era, the minister had told them, I'm not stopping you from becoming a presidential candidate, but don't destroy me because you want to become a presidential candidate. Let's get to that era. When we get to that bridge, we're going to cross it. But you insist that no, you're going to single-handedly pick up the whole structure because some things were not favorable to your own side. Now, we need to show power and show strength. Okay. Minister said, no, I cannot. And what you destroy me and destroy what I've built over the years.
A final question, just to gain perspective. You are giving your explanation of what controversy is, and obviously you believe that the FCT minister, has acted in line with in favor of the party. Many have criticized him for openly supporting the All Progressives Congress and throwing his weight.
Let me correct this notion.
Okay,
before
please.
The minister picked up, the appointment the minister picked up was the appointment of a unity government, because before he picked up this appointment, the party gave him approval. Because in as much as they are appointing for the interest of this country, because if you love this country, you wouldn't even care about the political party that is in power. What you will do is to ensure that you are being constructive, you apply constructive criticism and support the government, give them ideas. Because you cannot sit outside the government and begin to criticize them. How will the government work better? The minister needs to come and show the government what we call capacity, and that's what he has done. If the minister was outside criticizing this government, he will not be able to prove a point that he has proven today by providing what good governance and democratic dividends is all about. Today, Minister of FCT is the best minister in this country because he's at the hands of affairs, making decisions with them, helping them to put infrastructure in place the way it should be.
At the detriment of his own party?
You won't be able to what we're enjoying today in that city. You cannot enjoy it if the minister was outside criticizing the government.
You've said that we shouldn't do party politics at the end of the day. I'm hoping that if an APC person reemerges again in all capacities, you'll be fully in support. You don't mind because, we shouldn't do party politics, seeing as you don't see what the issue is with the FCT minister throwing his weight behind the APC. Thank you so much for joining us, Andrew. It's a pleasure to have you. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And now, as Nigeria moves steadily toward the 2027 general elections, the All Progressives Congress, APC, faces increasing scrutiny over its stewardship of the country since assuming power in 2023. For voters, analysts, and political stakeholders, this period offers a critical moment to assess APC's performance across key national priorities: economic management, security, governance reforms, infrastructure, social welfare, and democratic accountability, weighing all these against the backdrop of rising cost of living, insecurity, institutional reforms, and public trust in government. With 2027 shaping up to be a defining contest for Nigeria's political direction, another question that has come up multiple times is, will Nigeria have an opposition party by 2027?
The president has insisted that he has no gun, therefore is not responsible for the seeming death of opposition in Nigeria.
Any name, any nickname, critics must talk. When they accused me of killing opposition, I didn't have a gun. I could have given myself a license. when I have the authority. But I can't blame anybody from jumping out of a sinking ship. If they did, what we have faced that in the challenging period of this country, the terrorism and banditry is causing us the havoc. And we should pull together, unite in a way that our forefathers contemplate.
Well, we're now joined by former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction of the government of Nigeria. Not forgetting, too, he currently is the APC National Chairman. We're talking about Honorable Nintawe Gil-Watda, who joins us live from our Abuja studios. Good morning, Honorable, and thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Congratulations once again. Ever since you clinched that role, we haven't spoken to you, but it's good to have you here on a Monday morning.
Thank you.
Well, we had to play that video out, the video of the president talking about the one-party state, him not having possibly put a gun to the head of the governors who are moving voluntarily, as it were, on their own. But the question still sticks, and Nigerians are wondering, is it a case of betrayal when it comes to having a party you used in getting into office, and all of a sudden you decide to dump the party and move to the current incumbent party, as it were? One-party state is a clear problem for most opposition. Can you share with us what's really happening with the APC? And is it true that anybody who ports, as it were, to the APC is being given a huge and beautiful sum of money to start with?
Thank you so very much. Let me start by appreciating and thank you for the honor given me to be here and to discuss with Nigerians and engage with the Nigerian community. For us as a party, anytime we have the opportunity of engaging Nigerians, we are always available. And it is the product of these engagements that is yielding fruits for us. And you see APC every day in programs, mobilizing. You see us in communities doing engagements. You see us in town hall meetings engaging people. And we have also behind the scene engaging governors, engaging the National Assembly, notable Nigerians, and asking them to be part of the success story of the APC. And it's only fear that after all this labor and engagements that people are seeing that we're doing well and that they want to be part of our success story and they're joining us. That's the first thing I want to also convey. Secondly, nobody gives you any money for coming to be part of the APC. Where would the money come from? Every money from the federation account is jointly appropriated by all the commissioners of finance of this country. They're part of the team that meets every month and review the income of the country, and then appropriate the money to all the states. So whether you're in opposition or you're in the government or in APC, you have equal access to the funding of Nigeria because it's shared by law. You know, we're not a banana country that the president can sit down and just say to this month, so state is carrying this money, and so state is carrying so amount of money. So the resources of the country are distributed by law. So as a government that believes in the rule of law, we've been following strictly those laws to ensure that we appropriate those funding appropriately. And nobody has gone to court. No opposition governor or individuals have gone to court and said that we've given social money, we've misappropriated such funding. And I challenge anybody who is making that statement to bring evidence that the government has prioritized giving funding from the federation account to the governors in APC prior to, and anybody that comes is given additional income. Nobody can provide any evidence of such misappropriation of funding to other governors that are coming to APC.
All right, I still want to, stay on that for a little bit, especially regarding the question my colleague had asked earlier about one-party state. The concern that a number of Nigerians have expressed about Nigeria sliding into a one-party state is that every other day we hear of a governor, a strong political figure, moving to the All Progressives Congress. And the danger in that is that the role of opposition in governance and in sustaining the country's democracy cannot be, overemphasized. And the fear that many Nigerians have expressed is that soon and very soon, there will be no one to check the activities of the All Progressives Congress, which is the leading party. We see that when we have the president go to present his budget in the House, the national song there is, "On your mandate we shall stand." I mean, we see in Edo State where the governor is mandating members of his cabinet to all show up with the infinity cap, which is, kind of the one that you have. And if they do not show up, if they do not wear it, they're not allowed into the premises. So I don't know that you see the concern that Nigerians are expressing regarding the fact that there might be no one by 2027 to check the current administration where it's airing, or before 2027 to check the current administration, because everybody by then would have moved to the All Progressives Congress and Nigerians will be the one at the receiving end of it all.
Now, let me just first put it this way. If you put up, we have only 36 governors. And we have only 109 senators. We have only 350 House of Representative members. We have just about 1,000 plus House of Assembly members across the country. Now, when you put all these numbers together of National Assembly, House of Representatives, commissioners, and all those put together across the country, there are no more than 5,000. Assuming all of them even come to APC, there is 5,000 out of 230 million Nigerians. I don't want Nigerians to, and especially media, to push the narrative that only the governors and only political appointees that holds the premium of political party. Each of the 18 political parties in Nigeria have their structures. Their structures starting from their own membership on ground. Each of them keep on boasting, and they present to INEC their own membership register, amounting into millions of people that are members of their political parties. They also have the EXCO at the ward level, at the local government level, at the state level. And when you put this membership of the EXCO alone, it runs into at least 1 million or more per political party. I have 18 political parties in Nigeria. Unless these political parties are presenting a wrong data to Nigeria and also to the INEC, if not, APC is just assessing some of the high-profile members of society. But we're also assessing the people at the lower level also at the same time. We have many Nigerians who believe in APC, who are coming in their millions, the youths, the women, and also many people are also coming to APC. We're the only party now that have a data of registered voters, and we've done it using NIN and verified all our members. And our data shows that people within the age of 50 years and above, which most of the governors fall into this category, are just 18% of the members of APC. People who are 50 years and below 50 years, between 18 and 49 years, who are members of APC, they form over 82%, they're about 82% of the members of APC. And it shows that APC is a youthful party. So we have more of young people joining APC than older people joining APC. People in my age category and above, we just form about 18% of the people who are in APC. So I don't want us to begin to categorize a one-party system based on maybe people within elite political party, leaders joining a political party. Then we not say that the whole demography of Nigerians are in one party. That's
okay.
one. Two. Okay.
All right, go ahead. You were about to land.
Yeah. Secondly, I want to also put it up. When the government is doing very well and is attracting people by our performance and activities that we're doing, the governors are seeing reason journals so that they can also be part and parcel of this success story. And we're also generating more funding for them as governors. Most governors who are in other political parties who are coming to APC, they discover also that much more revenue is coming to them based on the reform the fiscal stability we produce in this country has ensured that most governors can pay salaries, they can pay pension, they can do infrastructure without going to the banks. They must not break banks by loan to perform all those functions that before now, hitherto, they must go to the bank and borrow before they pay salaries, before they meet the demand of projects and the rest. And so the debt stock of states are reducing every day. So most governors are attracted to APC for many other reasons. So different governors, different people are attracted to APC for different reasons.
Thank you very much. You claim the government is doing well, but many Nigerians will say that the government, the current APC government, has failed at its very basic responsibility of securing lives of Nigerians. In the first 41 days of 2026, over 1,250 Nigerians were killed. Just this last weekend, there were incidents of violent extremist groups killing Nigerians. When Mr. President was in the opposition, he was very vocal in his criticism of former President Goodluck Jonathan. Would you say critics of this government are fair when they say that a government that has failed in the most basic responsibility of securing the lives of Nigerians has no business seeking re-election and has simply failed Nigerians?
You know, when you want to talk about Nigeria as a state, you look at the bedrock of what led us to where we are today. You know, most countries, or especially Nigeria, fundamentally, our major problem that led us to everything we're having right now is the economy. And if you look at 1999, when Nigeria, came to, when PDP took over from the military in 1999, all the cars procured for the National Assemblies, most House of Assembly, and most government functions, they were all produced in Nigeria. By 2010, almost all those companies are shut down. Most of the parts, the major parts, from the battery to glass to everything that they were locally manufactured in Nigeria. Before 2010, they've all shut down. Textile was a major employer of labor in this country. By 2007, almost all the textile factories have shut down. So those jobs were transferred out of the country, from the oil sector to the textile industry to the manufacturing sector as a whole. Most jobs that were in that sector were all transferred out of the country. Unemployment was surging every day. The economy was depleted every day. And as you know, this is fundamentally what led to the insecurity in the country. So what the government has done first was to see how we can fix the economy and ensure that the economy is stable. We have fiscal stability of the country. And the major reasons, the major factors, driving factors that were responsible for this poor economy of the country. And all the government, all the presidential candidates of 2023 agreed that they will address those two fundamental problems in the of the economy. Number one, the parallel market, and all of them agreed that they will unify the exchange rate. Number two was the issue of subsidy, and all of them agreed they will remove subsidy. Did APC did we do it? The answer is yes. We unified the exchange rate of the country. Number two, we also withdrew the subsidy, and next was to address the fundamental issues that comes along with the removal of the subsidy, in Nigeria, and which we did. And what was the response? The response was increased revenue to states, local government, and the federal government. And the essence is for them to create more jobs, to also address the insecurity, for them to also address the fundamental issues that has led and taken us to this state as a country. That's number one. Number two was also the unification. What has it done also? It has provided, a solid, economic background for the country. So as it stands today, most of the issues that we need to address as a country stems still from the economy. If we don't have a healthy economy, we cannot address insecurity. If we don't have
Honorable Yewada, as we speak, I mean, you could talk about the economy, but those who are losing loved ones every other week will not be worrying about the economy. They need the bleeding to stop. Is the government doing anything to address this immediately so that we stop seeing large numbers of Nigerians kidnapped and killed almost every other week?
And like I was talking, before I come to that, it was a background I was laying to arrive at that stage I was talking to you. Now, if you look at, like we were saying, the major concern of Mr. President is to address the issue of the insecurity across the country. He has met with the governors. He has even changed the service chiefs. We've worked assiduously with the governors because of concern. He has a meeting with the governors to ensure that we address those issues that has to do with the insecurity. And while we address some of the states that we've improved in most of the states, there's also mobility of these bandits from one point to another. And we are working assiduously to ensure that we address and provide security for the life of those people who are within those vicinity. And part of the action taken by government is to improve the manpower, fiscal bodies that will be responsible in those local communities, because we have a lot of ungoverned spaces across the country. We're recruiting more people in the civil defense. We're recruiting more people in the police. We're recruiting more people in the military. But this recruitment and training takes time for you to achieve it. So, but the numbers are increasing every day, and we are sure that if we increase these numbers, and that thousands of people that have been recruited in the military, in the police, civil defense, immigration, and all these numbers that we're putting up, we're going to improve the number of people that will take over those ungoverned spaces. And the recruitment of the foreign guard, as the president has directed, when we tidy up this number of people that we're recruiting, and we're going to train and deploy them across the country and all those ungoverned spaces, then we can flush out these bandits within those spaces, and that will improve security across the country and reduce the number of people that are bleeding every day in the country.
All right.
All right. I just want to follow up to that question, a continuation from there as well. Now that you've established that there are several other challenges that have fueled insecurity, and you've shared with us what the government is doing, you go back to March 2013, and we see that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was then a leader in the All Progressives Congress, called on the resignation of President Goodluck Jonathan. I'm just going to read out a quote that was ascribed to him. It says, "I saw the sea of refugees caused by the Boko Haram insurgents and the lies coming from Jonathan's administration. They have exhibited failure, lack of capacity, vision, and creativity. The lies of yesterday are what they repeat today and are what they will repeat tomorrow. They are lying to you." And he called for the president to resign if he's not able to deal with insecurity, saying that he had failed the people. Is it safe to say that he was a bit unfair to President Goodluck Jonathan, seeing as he's battling these same challenges?
Now, if you can't say it's unfair, and because President Tinubu raised the fundamental issues that needed to be done, and the action need to be done. And I can also put it up to you this way. What were the clear actions that were taken that time? Clear actions that were taken that time in 2013 to ensure that security is provided for the people. What was the roadmaps that were made? Unlike now that we're making clear roadmaps to ensure that we improve security in the country. I think the reason why President Tinubu made that statement was because there was no clear roadmap for security, and there was no government coming out to develop a roadmap for security. That's why the president made that statement as of that time.
Okay.
But just to confirm, I mean, you said that there were no clear roadmaps. One of the things that you've talked about as to some of the steps that the government has taken is the removal of subsidy. The president then President Goodluck Jonathan did try to remove subsidy, and there was a pushback against it. There was a protest, So would you say that that was not a good enough move? At least that would have also helped the economy. You've seen as you're linking the economy highly to insecurity challenges.
APC came up in 2013. The protest was in 2011 or 2012, 2011, I think. So APC as a party was not then either in power or even in existence to resist President Jonathan.
But President Bola Tinubu was vocal against it, right? If I remember correctly, then it was ACN, and he did speak up against it.
ACN is not APC.
But the figure...
APC has its own policy statements, not individuals.
Okay, so we can now say we are separating the current president from the protests he championed to what he has done today.
We have policies of APC, we have statements of APC, and I can only respond to issues that have to do with APC, not individuals.
All right. Seeing that we're out of time, because we need to really touch on the newspapers, and hopefully, I think this minute is not enough to cover everything. Our last question to you this morning would be that the presidency, Aso Rock, has been taken off grid. Solar has been provided. We've heard from the APC telling Nigerians, tighten your belt. But it doesn't seem the same way for its members, where we see a plethora of purchases, cars. The budget shows recurrent, especially the same thing are being purchased. Chairs, benches, name them. Isn't this, in a way, rubbing off negatively on the people? A party that professes to really care for the people, but it's taking care of its own self by repeating some of the budgets to the state of ensuring that these monies are blown out of proportion.
But you've not also informed Nigerians that this same government has provided a solar power to the universities in Nigeria, and many Nigerian universities are now off-grid. They've taken them off-grid. You also inform Nigerians that many of the tertiary health institutions are now being provided with solar power, and they've also been taken off-grid.
So what happens to the average Nigerian?
No, let me talk. You know, also inform Nigerians that many rural communities have been provided with independent power supply. These are meant to ensure that we reduce the dependence on the grid and reduce the stress on the grid, and ensure that most manufacturing companies have access to power through the grid, and will reduce the stress on the grid and stabilize the grid. So it's actually in good omen that we're taking a lot of the government agencies, rural communities off the grid so that we can stabilize the grid and reduce the stress on the grid.
Well, I'm sure that Nigerians would have a different conversation around that. But due to our time, I'm sure I would also look forward to extend another invitation so we can really look at the second half, or better still, the countdown to the elections and what APC is doing.
Are we saying that we should stress the grid?
No, no. Then one more thing, Mr. President said if
the essence, we said that even in our own policy statement, we said that we'll go green. So if we are implementing part of our own agreement and with the Nigerians, social contract with the people, by saying I want to go green, reduce dependence on fossil fuel, and that's what we're doing by implementing that same policy, ensuring that government agencies, rural communities, health centers are taking off grid. We're reducing the dependence on the grid. When we said that we've increased power generation, we're not discussing generated power supply only that is on the grid. Also, you must add what we've also put off grid along with the increase we've done on the grid before you sum the total power that Nigerian government has generated within this period.
Now, finally, Mr. President was on record saying that if he doesn't provide electricity to Nigerians in 2027, they shouldn't pity him and they should not vote for him. Would you advise Nigerians to take that advice to the letter?
Look, and that's what I'm talking about now. We made power about 2.5 megawatt per day, and we moved it from 2.5 megawatt to over 6,000 megawatt. And that's record-breaking to an extent for the period that we're having. And we're moving it up to 7 or more before the end of this year. And mark you, we also, before you talk of the solar, just like we spoke about rural communities that will put off-grid, universities that will put off-grid, if you put those numbers together, they are also in thousands of megawatts. Putting them together, we generated thousands of megawatt, additional megawatt that has been added to the grid and also off-grid. So achieving, yes, we've achieved and fulfilled our promise of adding power to the grid and also pushing power off-grid. So we've achieved what the president asked, promised to do, he has achieved it.
Okay, well, that would be subject to Nigerians reviewing it and us as journalists to put a stamp to it if he really has achieved it. But our statement shows quite different. But we look forward to have you again, like I rightly mentioned. And thank you so much for joining us live.
Thank you for your time.
And we'll see you again.
And congratulations once again.
No, thank you.
All right.
All right.
We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, the front pages of the newspapers is what we have to look at very quickly. So stay with us. This is still Breakfast Central. Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. We do have our in-house analyst joining us, international, definitely journalist of repute, Mr. Abib Aruna. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
Welcome, Mr. Abib.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Good morning, and good morning, viewers.
Let's go straight to our papers without further ado, because we do not have any more time to waste. Leadership is where we're going to. The front page of the Leadership newspaper happens to be our very first paper this morning. U.S.-Israel war on Iran. Evacuation of Nigerians not feasible because of missiles. The federal government says. That's what they say. Video of attempted poisoning of Tinubu fake, according to presidency. President of Botswana appoints Akinwole. But, there's a lot of story. But let's just go straight to the big one. 2027 elections will be Nigeria's best. Amubiton says. Yesterday, there was a form of town hall by the civil society organizations of Nigeria. They invited who is who. I was expecting to see the president there, but he didn't make it. He wasn't there. I don't know if an invitation was extended to him, but you had Mr. Peter Obi there. You had the ADC chairman, a former senator, and a former Senate president, the INEC boss, where he made the statement that INEC is ready for 2027 to be the best by God's grace. I don't know what's your take on that.
That God's grace should be removed. Because it's giving. Most people don't base their work.
It's not based on inshallah.
The name of God is not man. God is giving. God is here for all of us. But in some papers too, in the paper it was reported that the man said it's not 100% guaranteed. Yes, check some papers this morning.
Yes.
So it's either here or there. There's no election that is perfect anywhere in the world. Even in the most advanced America. It's only UK that I think we can say we have perfect elections. Most things in the UK, it's more like a perfect. Whereas in UK, that's why you see independent agencies. We have agencies that are operating without the control, of the executive. But in the US, that is not the case. Look at this FCM file, for example. There are many people that have been punished for it. But in America, we see the executive overbearing, controlling the Justice Department, not let them to really do their work.
But there are good examples we can compare our democracy with. We don't necessarily have to use some of the Warsaw 20 examples.
Anytime Gbenga hears US like this,
he's using America
rise up
as a
the rising sun.
He's using America as a get out of jail free card for Nigeria.
No one is looking forward to this next elections in January. So we are looking forward to see how prepared INEC is. And the basis of that fear is and reservation is the Electoral Act that was just passed by the president.
We had a conversation with the former resident electoral commissioner, Mr. Festus Okoye, who was in charge of voter education this morning. And he said something quite instructive that, it's the people at the end of the day. You can have laws, you can have systems that is Nigerians that will determine, and the political class, and how we conduct ourselves if the elections will be free and fair. You can bring in technology. At the end of the day, you still have the human factor. How important is that?
In addition to what Gbenga said, he also said that, in fact, we have been able to conduct an excellent election, even with the 2022 Electoral Act, pre the amendment.
If people act right.
I think I agree with Okoye. Okoye is a signed lawyer. When I was expelled from university, would have saved me from being expelled. It was Kaduna, where Kano.
You have a friendship.
No, we're very close.
So are you agreeing because of the friendship, or you're agreeing to the merit of his argument?
When it was NINEC, it was very credible.
Thorough.
It was thorough and credible. And election they conducted, when it was there, from all indications, if you lose the parameters, it was relatively free and fair. Relatively free and fair.
Maybe the by-elections.
Which one?
No, Okoye. When he was there, was that a commissioner?
That's the 2023 general elections.
Maybe the by-elections before the
even
president.
Before the general elections. There are elections that were held.
The staggered
elections.
Off-cycle elections.
We worked under Jega before. Before the professor, that last one. That was a failure.
But you know that Nigerians are judging largely the success of that election largely based on the gubernatorial, the presidency, and the other ones. So like these are the major markers that Nigerians are using to judge. And from a lot of indication, that doesn't seem to show that they are thoroughly pleased. We'll come back to that if we have time. Let's quickly touch on the US-Israel war on Iran. Evacuations of Nigerians not feasible because of missiles, the federal government says. The IGP orders strict surveillance. Comprehensive coverages, of course, are obvious. You can see the people who have had to bear collateral damage: Qatar, UAE, Bahrain. They're Nigerians trapped there. I have family in the UAE. I was on call with my sister at 5 a.m. So there are many Nigerians who are there. There are those who are trapped there, who went there to visit. Is this time to maybe bring up the conversation of how we can get them out? You know, what are your thoughts on how we're handling this?
What can Madam Abike Dabiri do?
And the fine questions. Were we prepared for any emergency? There was a build-up. It's been going on for the past 2 weeks now. And if you can't predict America, they've been build-ups showing to you that they may strike. And it did. Were we prepared?
But the Iranians were also warning that if they strike them, they will hit countries that host American bases.
I'm coming to that. You see, countries like UAE were prepared. Just this morning, on their Twitter, on X, 22,000 tourists have been given free hotel accommodation.
And the government
everything free. Food, everything. I'm telling you that till your flight will be ready, take care of yourself. And they've told the hotels, send the bill to the Emirates. That is, they were prepared. Nigeria was not prepared. We had never been prepared for this kind of thing. Even though we are just at the mercy of anything that happened, we are not prepared. There is no any day-to-day briefing. But the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or what Nigeria should do in case of any strike.
They said they should. They issued a statement.
So we're not left at the mercy
X.
of any of those countries.
No, the foreign minister.
Now, to a question. Yes. You see, America have been trying to deal with Iran.
Why?
America have been pushed. They told me there's no any direct threat to America by Iran.
Maybe since that 1970 fallout.
No, but there's a direct threat to Israel. A direct threat to American interest in the region, because of the friends of America who are in those regions, particularly Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, UAE. These are American interests, and America has bases in those countries in case of any emergency. But Israel has been pushing America all this while to attack Iran, not to prevent them from acquiring nuclear weapons. But they succeeded in having a Trump at the White House.
So that would do their bidding.
Will be easily amenable to the dictates of the Israelis. And that's why he agreed.
But let's look at the bigger picture. Nigeria is a global...
So the world is in a big mess now. Because me and you will be paying more to buy fuel. Already they've increased fuel price.
And also...
Because it's a direct something consequence to that they are facing now. So we're hearing that it will be close to $100 anytime from now.
But in looking at the bigger picture and how nations operate, the United Nations was set up to prevent countries from unilaterally attacking each other. Israel woke up one day and decided to bomb Iran, and that has led to, of course you expect them to defend themselves. Iran has but I want to read a statement here from Jeremy Corbyn, is the former leader of the Labour Party in the United Kingdom. He said the attacks on Iran by Israel and the United States are illegal, unprovoked, and unjustifiable. Peace and diplomacy was possible. They were negotiated. Instead, Israel and the United States chose war. Is it time that the world, I mean, what sort of world are we living in where might seems to be right? What happened to international law? So countries can just wake, so China can wake up tomorrow and take over Taiwan.
You are full of semantics.
No, it's not semantics. It's the reality of the world we live in.
I'm a student of politics, I'm a student of international politics.
So is it not hypocrisy
in fact,
for the United States?
My MSc thesis was how to prevent another war, using the Iraq war as a contest. That was my thesis. You know,
so
the argument was that
Israel and the United States, by this action, are they not destabilizing the region?
Law does not operate like that.
No, we're not speaking about...
No, there's no morality in that. I'm not trying to tell you that.
So why do we have laws?
There's no morality in that. Now, for example, US is saying that Russia should leave Ukraine, right? And the same America is bombing Iran, and nobody's talking. Maybe today or tomorrow, there will be a Security Council meeting to caution America to restore peace, caution the parties to restore peace.
To the rest of us?
They've killed their leader.
What happens to the rest of the world?
They've killed their leader. And they're supposed to attack Iran, not on Saturday, the third date. They got information that they're having a meeting, that the man is vulnerable with the core military hierarchy. They attacked.
I mean, millions of people
and they killed
in Tehran and
children,
other parts of Iran.
So there's no morality there.
He died at the age of 86.
So when
he can't be hiding in a bunker.
If China attack,
when his people are being attacked,
if China attack,
he died a hero.
This country now,
Taiwan.
What will happen?
Let's do this.
So there's no morality there.
Let's take.
That's the way the game is played.
Let's take our last paper for today, so we can quickly touch on another story. Let's take the Al Jazeera newspaper.
Against the weak.
Are we taking the Punch?
Yeah, Al Jazeera newspaper.
Okay,
We'll just have that to go. That's our last paper for today. On the front page of that paper, we have how NURTW foiled attempt by suspected ritualists to Korea dead baby. That's a story. I don't understand that, but that you find that inside Al Jazeera. Airline operators reject FCCPC ticket price manipulation report. NACON seeks Saudi embassy's help for smooth Hajj operation. Blackouts. Niger government to remove ministries parasitals from national grid. We just had that conversation now. It seems like the president had made a statement, as Benga alluded in one of his questions to the national chairman. If I don't give you power, don't vote for me. It's looking like power is no longer there. People are now seeking alternatives.
And then it seems like the lazy way out. You know, you can't fix the roads, you buy a Jeep. Now we're going off grid because you can't fix electricity.
The president did not say anything.
And you can't industrialize off solar.
Well, we are going green.
What's your take?
It seems we are not serious as a nation. But the last time I checked, when the president was campaigning for his election, the president said, if I don't give you power within a year, don't vote for me again. There's been no power.
And the minister is moving around with a power bank.
My place in Agege, I know how much I spend every week to buy fuel. And this, I'm lucky, the one in Magodo. You know?
And it has implications on your business.
There's no country that can develop industrially, economically, without a stable power. So I don't know why they're not taking it serious. And when I'm sure you guys asked the ABC chairman, the man was prevaricating. There's only direct response to that question. That you power the Aso Rock.
So I like, as a veteran journalist, I like that English.
So we
that's similar to rigmaroling.
We need to be serious.
I don't know why you
as a country. There's no stable power system in Nigeria you cannot develop.
It's a problem.
They should stop playing politics with it. It's a national crisis, an emergency.
Even Dangote had said it. Dangote
very
said,
true. I mean, Dangote was very passionate. He
Yes.
spoke about it like it's a matter of life and death.
And we're still giving power to the Republic and the Republic.
I mean,
I don't know the logic behind this. I don't know the logic.
The moment I see the minister without his power banks, then I will know that.
And I contain power in the Republic and the Republic.
Imagine that.
Yes.
Imagine that.
All right, let's just quickly take a few stories from the Punch newspaper on the front page of the Punch. 2027 polls won't be 100% perfect. INEC chair wants, that is to say, where anything can happen.
No, 99%.
Perhaps.
So don't expect a miracle. That's what he's saying.
99%.
But Nigeria will demand we should conduct a free, fair, transparent elections. And that the election is not a day affair. The process of the election must also be transparent and credible. That is the minimum demand of Nigerians.
And he's asking for 30 billion again, 30 BG to add to the 873.
Mr. Abibara, are we not putting too much pressure on INEC? Is it only INEC that conducts? I mean, Mr. Mopita, everybody's put. Is it? I mean, it's just one person.
No, if you cannot be
the security agents. No. The security agencies, the conduct of Nigerians, political thugs.
There are many Nigerians who are qualified to be in that position. So if you cannot do it, another person will do it.
So how will he stop vote buying?
We have a duty to remind him that the election is a major indices of measuring our picture will be. In other words, if you don't have a free and fair elections, you cannot guarantee development and growth.
And in answer to
so what we want from him is to make sure that the process is credible, is transparent.
I believe Nigeria should also...
In answer to your question of how will he deal with vote buying, the paper front page on The Punch says, Tinubu convenes police council today to confirm this. So congratulations, we have a new IGP, a new sheriff is in town. We expect it to not be business as usual. We want to see a change.
And the IGP is my friend.
Is your friend?
Yes. Okay. I can vouch for him. I don't vouch for people on television.
And I trust you, and I know you're a man of integrity, because if he doesn't do well, you will give him, he will collect.
Can you vouch for me, Joe, and Olive?
I was RRS commander.
Okay.
When I was chief secretary. All right. And I've monitored his trajectory. Okay. This one. It's qualified.
All right. So I guess,
and he's a decent human being.
Benga is asking, can you vouch for all three of us? Can you vouch for us too?
You guys are professionals to the call.
Thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
We appreciate your voucher.
Thank you to our audience as well for staying with us. We'll be back again tomorrow. We apologize for the technical glitch on YouTube. It will be sorted, but please stay well to tune in. Jasiri continues at 10 a.m. and we'll be back tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Peace in the Middle East.
Bye. Yes, so peace in the Middle East for real.